The Mexican-American War by Carly, Kate, Gavin, and Cynthia. When you think of Mexico, do you think of sombreros, tacos, or a warm vacation spot? Or do you think of the Mexican-American War? The Mexican-American War was from 1846 to 1847, which resulted in Mexico seceding, which means giving up a region from Texas to California. It all started from the Texas Revolution. Texas was once a part of Mexico. There were many American settlers there, which made Mexico angry. They fought in the Texas Revolution. As a result, Texas won its independence and became its own country. The U.S. always wanted to annex or adopt Texas, but they thought Mexico would be angry. Polk waited 10 years and finally decided to adopt Texas. Once he adopted the territory, Mexico wasn't just mad, they were absolutely furious. After, Mexico and the United States couldn't agree on where the borders were, either the Rio Grande or the Nueces River, which is about 150 miles northeast of the Rio Grande. On April 25, 1846, Mexican soldiers fired on U.S. troops who were patrolling along the Rio Grande. 16 Americans were killed or wounded. This was the perfect excuse for Polk to start the war.
A few months later, General Stephen Kearny led the Army of the West out of Kansas. His orders were to occupy New Mexico and continue west to California. This is an example of manifest destiny because they wanted to take over more land to the west. Americans took control of New Mexico without firing one shot. Wow, that's crazy. Meanwhile, the explorer John C. Fremont and a group of Americans launched a rebellion against Mexican rule in California. General Mariano Guadalupe Hidalgo, who was the Mexican commander of Northern California, was arrested and jailed by Americans. The Americans raised a flag that had a grizzly bear sketch and blackberry juice, which they declared California the bear flag state. When Kearny reached California, he joined forces with his rebels and took all of California under their control. General Zachary Taylor battled there was the south from Texas. 6,000 troops took the Mexican city of Monterrey. General Santa Anna stopped them with an army of 20,000 Mexican troops. In February 1847, the two forces met near a ranch called Buena Luz. They fought for 2 days, and not to use Santa Anna's remaining forces. He retreated south. The war in northern Mexico was over. A month later, General Winfield Scott and U.S. forces landed at Veracruz in South Mexico. For the next 6 months, his troops fought their way to Mexico's capital, Mexico City. About 1,000 Mexican soldiers and 100 young military cadets bound to defend the city, but in the end, Scott's army captured Mexico City in September 1847.
Early in 1848, Mexico and the U.S. signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Mexico agreed to give up Texas and a region of land called the Mexican Cession. A cession means something that is given up. The Mexican Cession included the present-day states of California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico, also some parts of Colorado and Wyoming. The U.S. agreed to pay $15 million. It also promised to protect 80,000 to 100,000 Mexicans living in the Mexican Cession and in Texas. Most of these promises were not kept by the U.S. Shocker. In Washington, many senators opposed the treaty for opposite reasons. Some argued that the U.S. had no right to any Mexican territory other than Texas. They believed the Mexican-American War and the treaty was completely unjust. On the other hand, some senators opposed the treaty because they wanted even more land. They thought the Mexico Cession should include a part of northern Mexico as well. This was a manifest destiny dream come true.
In 1853, James Godson arranged the purchase of a strip of land just south of the Mexican Cession for $10 million. This land was good for railroad builders because it was flat and could serve as a good railroad route. The Gadsar Purchase is the present-day border of southwest U.S. with Mexico. Until the Mexican-American War, many people believed our nation was too good to bully or invade its weaker neighbors. Now they knew that what we did was the dark side of the manifest destiny.
The end. Woo!